Okay, well, it looks like we are at the top of the hour. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jessie, and today I am here with my colleagues, Elise and Adam, to talk to you about a librarian's guide to Koha. In our Back to Basics webinar series, we are taking things back to the foundation. So in this 30-minute webinar, we will cover how staff can intuitively navigate through all of the modules within Koha staff interface, and how your patrons can get the most out of the Koha OPAC. We'll be showing the high-level overview of Koha. For all of our partners who may be on this call today, you'll get a sneak peek at the 24/11 release. And for all of those of you that are new to Koha, we'll be showing you all the great features that Koha has. As always, we'll be monitoring chat, so if questions come up, throw those in the chat box. If they are something for our libraries that are partners, we will open a ticket for you, or you can open a ticket to go down a little bit further if you're thinking about turning something on. And then, of course, as always, for those of you who may be new to Koha or interested in making a switch, we would love to set up a time to do a personalized demo for you. So with that, we are going to kick things off by starting in Koha's staff interface to talk about all things Koha. So as most of you know, Koha is a web-based product, which means from any modern browser, you can access your day-to-day work functions, whether you're checking things in and out, or maybe you're on the bookmobile, or maybe you're just in the library and you want to run a report to look at your collection for a particular section in the library. Those are all things you can do right from the Koha system. Now, what we're looking at here is a user that has administrative privileges. I am logged in as a super librarian, which gives me access to all the things. What's nice about Koha is you can customize the permission level for each one of your staff members so that when they come into Koha, they see the modules that they need access to do their day-to-day job. Now, I always like to point things out when we talk about Koha staff interface. As librarians, we love to organize information and make sure that resources are available for our staff members to do the best they can at their job. And I always like to point out over here on the left-hand side, we have our news feature. This allows you to put those resources available for staff, whether it's videos or training highlights for the system, or maybe it's a link to your policy. Perhaps it's a calendar that shows your staff everything that's going on at the library. These all can be set up to make it easy for your users to navigate within the system. You'll also see across the top of your screen a black bar. That can also be customized for you to easily link out to maybe a frequently accessed report, or maybe just a call number browse. So Koha can be customized to make your day-to-day workflows simple and easy. Now, let's talk about documentation, something that's probably all near and dear to our hearts. One thing I love about the Koha staff interface is that you can easily jump in and look for things that you may not be familiar with. So let's say you're starting out in the acquisitions journey and you want to jump in and maybe start using the module. In the upper right-hand corner, you will always see a help button, and that will take you directly out to the Koha manual for that section that you are on. So you can see it takes us right in where we can begin our journey in the acquisitions module. So that help button will follow you no matter where you are within the system. In the center of the screen, you're going to see a search box. Now, that search box will follow you again, no matter which module you are in. So when I'm on my main page, I will see the checkout screen. I can also navigate to check items in. I can renew an item if a patron has a question. I can also search for patrons. I always like to point out this little button because this will allow me to narrow down my search. So perhaps I know the patron because they're a frequent member or come in often, or I'm just scanning in their barcode. Easy. But perhaps you want to search a different way. This allows you to come in and you can select the specific field that you are looking for within the system. You'll also see that same feature when we search the catalog. Koha's default is keyword. However, if you're looking for something specific, like a series title, or maybe you want to scan in the ISBN, you can do that as well. Now, each of Koha's modules take you to a different section of what you're doing for the particular user or the patron or the resource in your library. We'll start with circulation. The circulation module within Koha allows you to provide the service to your users for checking items in and out, running your holds list or your pick list to see what's available for users and process that information. Koha has an offline circulation tool that works great for libraries, whether the network or the Wi-Fi went down, or again, you're out on your bookmobile or doing outreach, and perhaps you don't have access to a network or connectivity. This is a great way for you to be able to still process information, and then when you get back to the library or a location where you do have Wi-Fi, you can bring that information right into the system and upload that file. You can also keep track of all of those holds that you have within the system. Koha gives you a nice quick look at any holds that are waiting within the library, anything that has expired, and then of course, any cancellation requests. Also within your circulation module, you will see quick links that allow you to transfer between locations. So for our multi-library systems on the webinar today, this allows you to move things between your library branches. Now, let's talk a little bit about patron management. The one thing that's nice about Koha is that you always have multiple ways to access things. If you draw your attention to the center of the screen in the upper left-hand side, you'll notice a patrons link. That will take me directly into my patrons module. Here, I can begin my journey to either create a new patron or search for an existing patron in the system. I can remember, folks who haven't visited the library for a long time would come in and say, I'm not even sure if I have a library card or if I did have one at one point. And this is a great place to start. Here, staff members can search by a particular field and come in and narrow down those search requests. You can also search by category and or branch or location. In the center of the screen, you'll also see ways to navigate or browse by last name. This will give you a quick overview, which is great for finding duplicate patrons within the system or just navigating to find a particular user. Once you've found that user, this will take you in where you can see any information pertinent to this patron. The left-hand side will show us any information pertaining to that user, contact information, their last activity or date within the system, and then of course, their home library and category. In the center of the screen, we'll see anything that needs attention. In this case, we can see they have outstanding charges and or perhaps items that are overdue. This will then show staff members what activity is on their account. Anything in red, of course, will be overdue. They can also see quickly and easily if something is lost or missing or damaged, or of course, the ability to mark things claim return. In the center here, you'll be able to see the title, which is hyperlinked. Now, depending on what type of navigator you are, some people like to jump right into the same screen where they can see the information, see, of course, that this one is checked out to George, and then, of course, do any updates for the status. Now, with the click back to the account, that will take me back to George's information. I like to navigate sometimes and open in a new tab. So Koha's flexibility does allow you to navigate within the system to make it easy for each user to prefer their methods of finding information. Koha's circulation management also allows for things like renewals, automatic renewals, and of course, overrides with specific permissions. Staff can come in and modify or place holds within the system for patrons. If you're a multi-branch system, of course, you can change locations. And then, of course, over here on the right-hand side, you can set up options to update or delete or even suspend holds within the system. Now, let's go back and talk a little bit more about patron creation. Within the Patrons module, you'll be able to come in and create that patron account. Your patron categories will give you a list where you can come in and fill out the required fields to get your patron set up within the system. These fields can be customized and selected for which ones are required when your staff members are creating patrons within the account. You also have the ability to set up additional attributes and identifiers, which are things that are unique to your library. Maybe you want to collect information about signing up for a newsletter, or perhaps they have to sign a waiver before they use the sewing machines in your makerspace. These are all great ways that you can collect information about your user to easily see within their patron account. Now, a quick tip that I really like is the ability to navigate back and forth between patrons. You'll notice next to that help button over here on the right-hand side, we have a last patron button. This will allow me to jump back either between 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5 patrons that we have been active with. So I can easily go back. You know, it happens sometimes you're working with them, maybe they were in front of you and you helped them and they came back and they're like, you know what, I need to place something else on hold. This allows you to quickly jump back to their account where you can see the information and navigate throughout the system. All right, now we're going to hit our little home button in the upper left-hand corner and we're going to jump back to our main screen. The next thing we'll talk about is searching. Now, if you're an existing Koha user, you know how amazing this item search is. For all my fan club members out there, welcome to item search. This is where your staff can come in and easily navigate throughout the system. So, you know, maybe I'm looking for things that are in the adult section and I'm looking for fiction and I'm looking specifically for books. But maybe I'm also looking for, let's say, large print. And this allows me to select individual or multi-select items within the system that I'm looking for. Here, I can search for statuses. I can even narrow down by specifics, or I can look between call number ranges. Once I perform that search, Koha will bring back a list of results. The item search is great because it's like a search, a list, and a report all in one. So dependent on what you're looking for, you can easily find items that are on order, items that may be lost or missing, or if you're looking through to do some weeding. This is a great place to start. From here, staff can search within the columns. They can sort them ascending or descending, and they can even export them to a CSV or barcode file. Staff with certain permissions can even come in and do batch operations. So if I'm thinking about modifying them, maybe moving them to a different location, or perhaps I found items that are no longer needed and I want to delete those, an easy way for you to begin that process. There is also an advanced search, and for those of you that like the more complex or Boolean focused searching, you can come in here to begin that journey. This will allow you to select multiple search terms and then come in and narrow down those search results by material type or item type, locations, or codes within your system. Here, staff will also be able to limit by either year or language or specific locations within the system. Now let's talk a little bit about technical services. Within Koha, In your cataloging module, there are multiple ways for you to create records within the system. If you get records from your vendor, you can begin the process by bringing those records into Koha. By staging records for import, you can bring those records in from, let's say, a book jobber like Ingram or Baker and Taylor or Midwest Tapes. Or if you're using cataloging software like BTCat or OCLC, you can bring those files in bulk. This will walk you through the process of bringing those records in, looking for matches, and then, of course, evaluating those records within the system. Here, staff will be able to apply matching rules and look for records within the system. Koha will show you if it finds a match, where then they can view those records side by side and, of course, decide which record they would like to bring into the system. The second way to bring records into Koha is through a Z3950 call. This allows you to bring records in by searching through targets. Targets can be created within the system to search maybe local libraries around you, or of course, some that have open targets where you can bring in a copy of a record and then make modifications to those as needed. You can also use Koha's frameworks to create records within the system for original cataloging. Now, Koha has both an advanced editor, which we're looking at here, which is keyboard shortcut driven, as well as the ability to enter and create your layout. Here, you'll also see options to set your new framework, as well as change fonts and or sizes. It also has the ability to run macros, which allows you to come in and create strings of text that can be run and added to the record itself. Over on the left, you'll see the ability to perform Z3950 searches, as well as use the clipboard. Now, Koha also has a basic editor, and the basic editor allows you to drive through 10 tabs across the top. Here, you will see very descriptive labels of the tags and the subfields, and you'll be able to come in and navigate throughout the record. As the staff member navigates through each one of those tabs, they'll be able to enter in author information, title, descriptions, series, additional information or notes, connect directly to your authorities records. So if we scroll down a little bit here, you'll be able to see that we can connect and search through our authority module itself, or create a new authority within the system, which allows us to create a either local authority or use the built-in Z39 target, which allows us to search both Library of Congress names and subject headings within the system. Here in the basic editor, you'll also see options to enter additional information, connect to online resources, and of course, identify any local information within your catalog record itself. Here, staff will be able to also switch between frameworks. You can think of frameworks like templates to easily create those records within the system. The next thing we'll talk about in cataloging is the ability to manage data. At any given time, you can export data from your system, run an inventory, or of course, quickly add a record to your system using fast cataloging. In the center of the screen, you'll see batch options. This is a fantastic way for you to do updates at the item level or the record level. So whether you're removing or weeding items from the system, or you're just doing a mass modification, this is where you will start that journey. So you can come in, update those records or items within the system, and do those in a batch process. Finally, on the right-hand side, you'll see tools. This is where you can print any type of labels that you want within the system, whether it's spine or barcode labels, and then update those within the system. Now, whether you're using a small little zebra or Dymo, or you're using an 8.5 by 11 sheet to print labels, Koha can work with both. Now, let's navigate back to our home screen, and we'll talk a little bit about serials. Serials within your Koha module allows you to keep track of current subscriptions. Here, staff can receive items, manage frequencies and patterns, and update subscriptions within the system. Over on the left, you'll see options for them to search subscriptions and also, of course, place claims for any subscriptions within the system. Next, let's talk a little bit about acquisitions. For those of you who are current Koha users, you'll notice a new update in 2411, which is great. It allows you to search orders right from the main screen. This is a nice way to jump in. If you're looking for something specific, or perhaps you want to modify something, you can start here. Now with acquisitions, you have 3 to 4 major features. The first is, of course, managing your fiscal year spending and your budgets. This allows you to come in, create a fiscal year amount, and then attribute those funds to the budget. These can be alpha or numeric or a mixture of both. And at any given time, staff will be able to see the amount that's been ordered, spent, and then, of course, what is still available within each one of those funds. These budgets and funds can be exported at any time, and there is management to modify or adjust these during the process of budget management. At the top of the screen, you'll see the ability to search for vendors. This is where you will come in and maintain all of your vendor information for anyone that you're ordering from within the system. Here, staff can manage details like account information, website information, contact information for multiple users, whether you have EDI reps, sales reps, customer service reps within the system. You'll also be able to keep track of order information. So think of things like, do I get a discount? What type of tax rate do I pay? How often does it come? What's my delivery time? And finally, you'll see at the bottom a way to keep track of interfaces. This is a great way for users to be able to track things like ordering portals, or if you go to a portal or an FTP site to download records, you can keep track of all of that information in one place. Now, the big moving pieces of acquisitions is, of course, the ordering and receiving. Koha is EDIFACT compliant, where you can set up EDI or EDIFACT ordering with your vendors and track all of that information. Koha can send that information back and forth between the vendor and the Koha system. And for those vendors who are not EDI or EDIFACT compliant, we'll use Amazon as the example, staff can come in and keep track of all of the orders within the system, where they'll be able to attribute a cost, any type of tax or replacement cost within the system, and then view that information. As far as receiving goes, this allows the staff member to walk through the process of entering in an invoice and receiving those titles within the system. Koha does allow for individual or multi-receiving within the system. Now, for anyone out there that uses course reserves, let's talk a little bit about that process in Koha. There is a course reserves module that allows staff members to keep track of courses within your library. So whether you have titles that you're taking from the stacks, or of course you have a professor or faculty member that provides a copy for course reserves, either one can be set up within the Koha system. This allows you to keep track of that information for each semester within the system, as well as keep track of the activity for that particular course reserve. Koha also has a list module, which allows you to build both staff lists and public lists within the system. This is a great way for providing research starters, or of course, public lists that would be able to be viewable on that OPAC within Koha. The authorities module, which we saw a little preview of in cataloging, is also a standalone module, which again allows you to create either authorities from scratch or bring in authorities from an outside source within the system. Here, staff will also be able to edit, modify, or merge authorities within the system. For those of you who manage electronic resources, Koha does have an e-resource management module, which allows you to keep track of your subscriptions within the system, licenses, which allows you to track terms and agreements to those vendors, and then, of course, e-holdings, which can be broken down at the package or title level. There's also an e-usage module, which allows you to create data providers and then create and run reports against those counter 5 reports that you get from your vendors within the system. Reports. Everyone loves to look at data. In Koha, reports allow you to pull data out of the system so you can analyze it. Reports can be run on SQL statements, and there are multiple ways to do it. Either through a guided report, an SQL report for those of you who are familiar with it, or you can search a MANA database, which allows you to pull in copies of reports to the system. With every Koha library, you can set up saved reports. These are great for all types of organization. Whether you're running reports daily or weekly or monthly, this is a great place to start where you can come in and run through the system, run a report at any given time to analyze that data. This is one of my favorites. We have a tab for state reports. So when I worked in the library in October for Florida, our fiscal year starts October 1, and so that was always a trigger for us to send our reports off to the state library. And this is a great way that you can come into your Koha Reports library and create a state reports tab. So when your year is up and it's time to send out those reports, you can come in here and quickly and easily run those reports within the system. So we'll just do a quick January report here, and that of course will bring back a list of results. From here, any report can be downloaded as a CSV text or spreadsheet. You can also create charts, both pie, bar, or line charts within the system. And then of course, run that report at any given time. Now, for those of you that are interested in data, you also have direct links that take you out to Koha's schema, so you can see that information and essentially write any type of select statement to create a report within the system. Okay, last but not least, we have our tools. And tools in Koha are what perform actions. Actions allow us to come in and update things, such as your notices and slips. This is what allows you to come in and modify those messages out to your patrons. Koha will come set up with predetermined messages within the system. However, you can come in and modify that to match your policies and procedures within the library. Also in tools, you'll see things such as creating those news items within the system and or viewing your logs or updating the dates on your calendar. And to finalize things in a Koha staff interface before we jump over to the OPAC, we have administration. This is where all the magic happens. This is where you're defining things like your item types and your branch locations, setting up your circulation and fine rules, and then of course, defining all of those rules for your catalog records and bringing in those particular funds and fees within acquisitions. Now, to give a quick snapshot, we have the Koha OPAC pulled up. So for those of you that are using Koha's OPAC, this can be customized to show off your library's brand and look and feel. This allows your users to come in, perform a search within the system, and take a look at those results. You'll notice as they search, you can tie in e-content providers like Overdrive to see those results within the collection. And then of course, over here on the left-hand side, narrow down whether I'm looking for a particular author or a particular location within the system itself. Once you find that title that you're looking for, you can jump in and view a little more information about this particular book or item. You'll see descriptions and summaries, and then of course, down at the bottom, you'll be able to see any additional information and of course, tie in any third-party integrations like Novelist Select. On the right-hand side, patrons will be able to see the ability to place holds, send to device, or of course, download that record. When users log into the system, they will be presented with a screen where they will see their credentials within the system. And then, of course, they can enter in their information to view their account. Once they are in their account information, they will be able to see information such as their checkouts, their holds, and any different information within the system. Here, they can navigate through updating information, changing their passwords, viewing their information or their holds history, making a purchase suggestion, and of course, viewing their virtual card, which is a new feature in the 24/11 release for our current users that are on the call today. Okay, well, I took us 1 minute over those 30 promised minutes for a quick librarian's guide to Koha. As questions were coming in, if there's any others that we can jump in and answer, we'd be happy to. But as we're using this opportunity to talk about Koha, we do want to mention that we are having a few more of our Back to Basics webinar series where we will be talking about everything about technical services, reporting, and all of the good things that tie into Koha within the system. And this link right here, if you scan this QR code, will take you directly out to all of those webinars that are happening over the next few months. And as always, if you are not a current Koha user and you are interested in learning more about Koha, we would be happy to set up a demonstration for you. Adam Brooks is our Koha sales consultant. You can reach him at adam@bywatersolutions.com, and we'd be happy to set up a time to go into a deeper demonstration of Koha and what it can do for your library. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Elise, for helping all of our friends and partners in chat, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Have a great day.